One moment, you're lying on an operating table, the fluorescent lights humming above you. Someone asks you to count backward from 10, 10, 9. The next moment, you're awake. But it's not like waking up from a deep sleep. There's no grogginess, no sense of time having passed. You don't remember falling asleep, you don't remember dreaming, or darkness, or even nothingness. It's a clean slice out of your existence. For you, the time in between simply vanished. So, it begs the question, where did you go? Where does your consciousness actually go when you're under anesthesia? When you sleep, you're still present. Time still flows. You can be woken up by a loud noise. You might even feel the night drifting by, shifting in bed. But anesthesia is different. It's a complete shutdown of experience. Here's the truly bizarre part. During surgery, doctors can stimulate your nerves, sending signals zipping all the way to your brain. The brain reacts. The hardware is running. The circuits are live. But the user is offline. You are completely, utterly gone. This isn't sleep. It's something else entirely. A profound mystery that scientists call the anesthesia enigma. This very puzzle haunted an anesthesiologist named Dr. Stuart Hameroff for years. He saw firsthand how consciousness could be switched on and off like a light. The standard scientific explanation that consciousness arises from complex connections between neurons just didn't seem to fit. If all the neurons are still capable of firing, if information is still flowing through the brain's network, then why does the experience of being you disappear? This led him to a radical conclusion. Maybe consciousness, ISNT, happening where we thought it was. Maybe we needed to look deeper, not between the neurons, but inside them. To understand his idea, let's consider a simple creature, the paramecium. It's a single-celled organism. It has no brain, no neurons, not even a single synapse. Yet, this tiny life form is incredibly sophisticated. It swims around, actively hunts for food, skillfully avoids danger, and can even learn from its experiences. Think about that. If a single cell can perform all these complex, intelligent actions without a brain, then what does that say about our own brain cells? It suggests that a neuron must be far more than a simple on-off switch in a giant biological computer. It must be a universe of complexity in itself. So, Hameroff peered inside the neuron, and what he found was a microscopic internal skeleton, an intricate lattice of structures called microtubules. For a long time, most scientists dismissed these as mere scaffolding, just the structural support beams holding the cell together. But Hameroff suspected they were much more. He started running the numbers, trying to calculate their potential processing power. Each microtubule is built from tiny protein bits called tubulin. He realized these proteins could act like bits in a computer, flipping between different states to store and process information. The results of his calculations were staggering. He estimated that each single neuron could be performing up to 10 quadrillion operations per second. That's a 10 with 16 zeros after it. Per neuron. For context, the world's fastest supercomputers are just now reaching that kind of speed. This implies that the real computational power of the brain isn't just happening in the signals that jump between cells, but in a vast, hidden network operating inside every single one of our 86 billion neurons. The brain isn't a city of lights. It's a galaxy of supercomputers. But even this incredible processing power doesn't answer the biggest question of all. It doesn't solve what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Why does any of it feel like anything? This processing power can explain how your brain identifies the color red by its wavelength, but it can't explain why the experience of seeing red feels like red. It can't explain how sound waves are converted into electrical signals, but not why a beautiful piece of music can give you chills and bring a tear to your eye. It doesn't explain why you experience anything at all. This is where the story takes a turn, from biology to the bizarro world of quantum physics. Hameroff knew he needed help. He teamed up with one of the most brilliant and controversial physicists of our time, Sir Roger Penrose. Penrose had long argued that consciousness couldn't be explained by classical, everyday physics. The brain isn't just a wet computer. He believed consciousness had to be a quantum phenomenon. Together, Hameroff and Penrose developed a theory with a truly intimidating name: orchestrated objective reduction. Let's just call it OR. Here's the core idea. Inside those tiny microtubules in our neurons, something amazing is happening. At this microscopic scale, the universe follows the strange rules of quantum mechanics. According to their theory, the information stored in the tubulin proteins can exist in multiple states at once. This is a famous quantum property called superposition. It's not one state or the other. It's both, simultaneously, a cloud of pure potential. But this state can't last forever. Penrose proposed that every quantum superposition creates a tiny, almost imperceptible warp in the fabric of space-time itself. Think of it like a tiny bubble or blister in reality. These space-time bubbles are unstable. They can only hold on for a fraction of a second before they spontaneously collapse. And that moment of collapse, that objective reduction, is what generates a single, discrete moment of conscious experience. A single frame of your reality, this completely flips the old question on its head. For decades, physicists wondered if consciousness was needed to observe and collapse a quantum state. The Orkor theory says the opposite. The quantum state collapses on its own, and that collapse is consciousness. Your awareness isn't actively creating reality. Reality is collapsing into your awareness, moment by moment, frame by frame, billions of times a second inside your brain. It's like your brain is a movie projector, and these quantum collapses are the individual frames that create the seamless film of your conscious life. And this brings us back to anesthesia. The anesthetic molecules, according to Hameroff, get into the microtubules and dampen these quantum vibrations. They stop the superposition from forming, or at least from lasting long enough to collapse into a conscious moment. The quantum orchestra is silenced. The projector stops running. The frames of consciousness cease to be generated. Your brain is still working on a classical level, but the quantum process that generates experience is shut down. The user goes offline. Now, if this theory is true, it leads to a truly mind-bending and profound implication. Physics has a fundamental law. Information cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. So, if consciousness is quantum information woven into the very structure of the universe, what happens to that information when we die? When the brain shuts down for good and the microtubules break apart. According to Orkor, that information doesn't just vanish. It can't. It might simply be released, decohering from the brain, but returning to the wider universe, a universe that Penrose describes as having a fine-grained quantum structure. The specific patterns, the entanglements, the very essence of your consciousness might not be erased. It wouldn't be a ghost in the traditional sense, but something more fundamental, a quantum echo. A persistent pattern of information that remains part of the cosmos. Some have even dared to call this concept a quantum soul. So, what are we? Are we just complex biological machines, running a temporary software of self-awareness that simply flickers out at the end? An illusion cooked up by our neurons? Or is the brain something more? A quantum radio, exquisitely tuned to receive a signal of consciousness that is as fundamental to the universe as space and time. A signal that's as ancient and endless as the stars themselves. The Orkor theory is still on the fringes of mainstream science, and it faces a lot of skepticism. But it is one of the only theories that even attempts to bridge the gap between the physical brain and the subjective world of experience. It dares to ask the biggest questions, and the search for an answer might be found somewhere between the mystery of the operating table and the vast quantum ocean of the cosmos. Thanks for exploring this mystery with me. If you enjoyed this journey into the nature of consciousness, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest questions in science. See you next time.